Hey, Foilers. Ben and I need your help as we continue to work to grow it for God and increase the amount of listeners to the podcast. Here's what you can do to help. Head on over to our website, thetfhc.com, and be sure to sign up for the email newsletter. Doing so will make sure you get content as soon as it's available. Also, join us over at the Tinfoil Hat Club podcast page on Facebook, and be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share with everyone you think would enjoy the show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for being fantastic and for all the love and support. Now, back to the show. The Tinfoil Hat Club. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ben.
And thank you for joining us yet again. Well, this one is going to be a little bit of a shift comparatively to what we normally talk about, but it all comes back to the Bible always.
Yes.
But it's basically like it's Ben and I have been talking about things and kind of discussing where we wanted to go with the show and some of the things we wanted to do in the future. We've really come down to, as we were talking, always as we do, before we hit record, of, what are we going to talk about today? And it really became something of, the show is going to be about following your dreams.
Yeah.
And stepping into what God has created you to do and be. Yeah. And, a couple things as Ben and I were talking of what we kind of envisioned in the future for the show and even beyond the show, of what we wanted to do to kind of grow things, and then what more could we do to kind of step into our giftings and do things for God. We have decided that we are in the preparations right now of actually doing a live town hall, I guess, kind of style presentation.
Yeah.
Which we will have tickets available at some point on our website and we are going to do a presentation over the Book of Enoch. And then at the end, we're kind of going to tag team the presentation portion of things. And then at the end, we're going to actually open it up to the audience for kind of a panel discussion. And that would be the town hall format portion of things. So to see what questions the audience has and to kind of go from there. So we're super stoked about it. We did some prep work last week, I think, and then we just talked a little bit before we started recording today. And
I think the conversation we had, I don't know if anybody would want to listen to that or not.
Yeah, no, they probably would.
Yeah, they probably would. They would.
But ultimately, it's kind of an interesting thing because, as we've been talking, it's ultimately something that Ben and I both feel like this is a wiring that God has given us, and it's stepping into our gifts that God has given us.
Yeah.
And I think that there are so many people in the world, I was one of them for a long time, who are just kind of getting through life, and they're not really fully stepping into the gifts that God gives them.
Yeah.
And it's scary because ultimately a lot of times you have to make the decision to leave your comfort zone in order to do that. And I think maybe I've talked about it on the show before, but for me, I've kind of had to make the determination to leave my job of almost 12 years, and I left over issues of faith, and I could just feel like God was telling me, it's time to go. You're not supposed to be here supporting these things that are completely contrary to my word. But beyond that, when I would go look for other jobs, I would get this sick feeling in my stomach that I kind of shared with you, Ben, and I could just feel God talking to me and saying, why would you go do the same thing somewhere else and not use the gifts that I gave you after you have decided to truly, finally, after however many years, turn your life over to me and do the things that would help advance the kingdom and reach people and use your giftings for me? Why would you go do another job and work for someone else? And I would get this sick feeling in my stomach. And, I thankfully, I'm so thankful. Thank you to the Lord, and thank you to my amazing wife for being super supportive, because when you come home and you say, I think I need to leave, I think I need to leave our stability in a job after 12 years. Oh, and I don't think I'm going to get another one, but I'm going to start a business. You better have a pretty supportive wife in order to do that. So,
and I'm just the opposite. Where I'm at, I'm very content. Yeah. But just because you're content doesn't mean that the God can still use you.
Yeah.
And through things, I think, God's like, hey, remember?
Hey, remember when we had that talk and you haven't done it?
Yeah. And that's where I'm at. So I'm not saying I'm going to leave my job or anything like.
You heard it, people at his work that listen to the show.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I've never been content at
that's not
place where I work. It's, and I think that's a God thing too.
Yeah, I do. Because I think that there's scripture in that too, right? It talks about, very, very much that being contented where you are.
Yeah.
I think we see that with Paul, right? Because he's like, I've been content when I've had little. I've been content when I've had much.
Yeah.
And learning to be content wherever you are and whatever season you're in life.
Yeah.
And, but I think I would love to know how many people are truly just going to work like that don't do a job that is really fulfilling and is in alignment with their God-given ability.
That's
their God-given talents.
Like every statistic made up 9. I'd say 90%.
90%.
90%.
I bet it's pretty high. I really do, and I think that's sad.
I
think that's why people are really unhappy.
All the other places I've ever worked, I never wanted to be there. I was always dreaming about doing something else.
I would say for me, I've had periods of contentment at work, but what ruined my contentment this last time, because here's a really good story about contentment and not only contentment, but getting yourself right when it comes to your spirit at work. The story is I had been working for my former employer that I left for about almost 8 years, which is funny in and of itself. So 7 and some change. God does like his sevens. And I had gotten to the point where I was pretty bitter.
Yeah.
Not to the necessarily to the point of destruction bitter, but I had a spirit of bitterness that was taking hold in me. And I was really grumbling and groaning and complaining a lot about things and things around me. And I wasn't, feel like I was being treated fairly and this and that. And I was kind of stuck and stagnant where I was, and I didn't have any advancement opportunities. And I just kind of was focused on all the negative things, right? All the bad things. And I remember I was walking out to the car one day, and my boss had been there for years and years. I'm like, she had been there for probably at that point about 12 years herself. And I remember I was walking out to my car for lunch one day, and I thought to myself, you know what? I need to be thankful. I need to stop being so grumbly and unhappy and be thankful for the good things that I have. I've got a good job. I make good money. I've got a good team around me. And I need to focus on the positives and just let this go, because it's a spirit of bitterness, and bitterness will destroy you.
Yeah.
And I remember having that thought, and I did. I let it go, and I just totally started to focus on the positives and just let the stuff go and just kind of just release it. And within a week, my boss looks at me and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you for a second. So we go out and we're walking in the warehouse, and she says, I just want to let you know that I'm leaving. And I'm like, you could have knocked me over with a feather. And I swear, I believe with all my heart, it was God just going, I was waiting for you to get right before I would give you an opportunity for what you've wanted. So she leaves, and I wind up getting promoted, and it's all good. And I literally got promoted in December of, I got to get this right, December of 2020, just before my 8th anniversary. 19. December of 19.
19.
Yeah, because I got hired in December of 2011. So December of 19. Okay. So just shy of my 8-year anniversary. Okay. And then literally 3 months later, the world went sideways with COVID.
Yep.
3 months. And for the next 2 years after that, it was just nothing but chaos. So now we're in 2019, right? We go through the 2 years of COVID. It kind of continues on. And then we start getting involved in more and more ridiculous stuff. And they just started pushing the faith envelope more and more and more. And I just finally, as I continued to grow in my faith, that's where I got to the point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say a spirit of bitterness was taking hold in me again, but I was definitely angry righteously.
Yeah.
You know, because like I'm watching you do these things and you're pushing your agenda on me and you're wanting to indoctrinate kids and I'm not down with it. That was the straw for me, was the indoctrination of the openly discussing how important it was to indoctrinate the youth into the thinking of today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not happening.
Yeah.
And that's when and Adrian and I are obviously having conversations and the whole nine. And I made the decision to leave. And I could feel that gut punch feeling when I would go look for a job. And I'd already been looking for jobs. And it was so funny too, how I think God was just like, nope, not going to happen, boss. Yeah. Because I would apply for these executive level jobs and I would hear nothing. I mean, I would either hear nothing from people or I would literally, after 2-3 months time, I would literally get a rejection letter saying, hey, thanks for applying to da-da-da-da. We decided to go with another candidate. And I'm thinking after 3 months, I kind of put that together. Thanks for letting me know. Thank you for clearing the fact that you have rejected me.
Yeah.
I had a couple interviews and they just went nowhere. And I just think that all of that was God just kind of, nope. You're stepping outside of
He led us together.
The bear. Yeah, that's right. He did. He was cattle prodding me. Go into the pen, sheep. Go into the pen. And I'm glad he did because his ways are better than my ways, right?
Yeah.
I'll just make a mess of things. That's what we're good at. Because we don't know what he knows, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we just do things that we think are good, and then we just make a wicked mess of everything.
Yes, and I've just been researching a bunch of different topics for years and having nobody to really talk to about it.
All by myself.
We are the researchers.
There you go.
We research other people's work, and that's what we do. And you've been doing that. I've been doing that.
Yeah.
And
I will be eternally grateful forever for COVID because it changed me for the better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an insane thing to say, but I think a lot of people will understand what I mean by that. Is because it forced change that needed to occur that would not have occurred otherwise in me.
Yeah.
And it forced me to get closer to God and to literally flip a switch where I'm like, I need to rely on God because the world is not, I can't rely on the world.
Yeah.
Not that I really was necessarily, but I was reliant more on the world.
Yeah.
And was more trusting of the world to fulfill things than my trust was misplaced.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and if you put your trust in the world and in people, you're eventually going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily speaking bad about people, but we're human. We make mistakes. We let each other down. It's just something that we do as people.
Yeah.
And God doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I've just been like, since we've gotten together, it's like, this is awesome. I mean, not to, but it's neat to see how God works.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. And then subsequent, it's so funny because everything in my life literally happened because of Enoch.
Yeah.
It's so funny how God has used that was an area for me, obviously a passion area. And how he has used my passion for that area to speak to me and to guide me down paths that have led to where we are today.
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see what he does in the future.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
This is wonderful.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's good to get together every week and talk and have an audience out there that likes to listen to two crazy dudes get together and chat about stuff. And
I'm a man of very few words, really. And when you'll send me a long text, and I'll be like, "Cool, awesome."
Yeah, it's like, "Hey, dude, here's my brain."
And I read it, and I'm like, talking to myself. That's really cool. That's cool. That's what I respond.
Yeah. That's like, we had our best week, or this week that we're in right now. Will be the best week that we've ever had. So thank you to each of you out there for continuing to listen to us and support us and be a part of this, and hopefully share it with other people so that they can maybe find something in here that speaks to them.
Yes.
And so it's all thanks to you guys. So it's just awesome. It's always, we're doing this for God, but there's a human element in there too. And I think God recognizes that. He knows us. He made us. And I think he wants us to be able to feel, successful, and that we're not doing it for nothing. That we're putting in all this time. And I was thinking the other day, this will be episode 18, probably, more than likely, right? And if you do the math on that, we've talked for at least an hour and a half every time. So
yeah,
we've talked for 18 and 9, so 27 hours. We've talked for more than a day.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of crazy.
I know. When I guess I'll just kind of talk a little bit about me. Is that okay? When
always do. Go ahead.
When I first started feeling like...
It's always about you, man.
I know, it's always about... When I first started feeling God call me, it was like we were going to another church, and we just started attending there.
Yeah.
And I was like, told Maria, I think we should help with the youth group. And so their youth group leaders just left.
Oh, there you go.
And so I had a lesson planned. This is how God works. And I was like, I had a lesson planned before I even was going to do this.
Yep.
So I went that night, and they were like, I'm somebody new. I maybe went to the church once or twice, and
yep.
And so I'm like, can I come tonight? They were like, yeah. So I planned the lesson, did the lesson with the kids. Started doing the youth group there, got really involved. I enjoyed it. I loved teaching.
Yeah.
Not preaching, teaching.
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
Yeah.
And so, good, we grew it there, and went to another church, did the same thing, started with nothing, grew it there. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
And all those kids graduated and, went on. But I always had a heart for teaching. I always enjoyed to teach. And I find this is sort of teaching.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's somewhere between the two, I would say.
Yeah.
There's an element of it, yeah, because you're sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
Which I think is...
knowledge would grow.
Yeah, it's funny too, it's cool because this is a whole venture for Ben and I. And it's kind of funny because you can see God is kind of lining up the airplane on the runway.
Yeah.
For takeoff. And he's kind of clearing out other distractions and other things. At least for me, I feel like off of clearing the runway.
Yeah.
So that I can focus more on this and seeing what he does with this year.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like it's get ready for takeoff.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's fun because you get to dream, and you get to sit down and you get to talk about goals and you get to dream big. And now that's another thing too, is like, I think sometimes we get our dreams shot. I think somewhere between being kids and being adults, we just get our dreams torpedoed.
Yeah.
I think people do that a lot of times.
Do you think, just a crazy thought, do you think, when Jesus was talking about the kids and
don't lead one of these little ones astray.
Yeah. Well, and just kind of like kids have crazy dreams.
Yes.
And I don't think God wants his children not to have crazy dreams.
What's the any of you approach me like you need to approach me like little children?
Yes.
You know, he says, approach me with childlike faith.
Yes. And that goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah, I think so. Because, you know, ultimately we get the kid beat out of us and the adult.
Yeah.
The adult, it's like the adult is the byproduct or the final product of all of the scarring that happens when you get the kid beat out of you.
Yeah. It's what the world does.
It is. It's kind of, we laugh, but it's kind of sadly true.
Yeah.
Because after the world is basically taking you like a pit bull with a chew toy,
yeah,
you know, and tossed you around everywhere, it's like it's just funny how some people, what happens from that.
Yeah.
Because like, I think I shared on another episode, you know, when I've interviewed people for years and I've always asked them the same question just to kind of help. It's just a fascinating psychological question of like, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And no one has ever told me the same thing. I think maybe I had one person who I think was just, you know, they were playing the game with me, telling me what they thought I wanted to hear, right? And it's like, no, it's not. I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear. I want you to tell me the truth. That's why I save it for last, because by that point, you know, I've kind of broken down the psychological barriers. They know that I'm not some, you know, harsh dude that's going to make them feel uncomfortable and this and that. So I've kind of had their guard down at that point, and they can kind of tell me the truth, right? Because I want the truth. I don't want the canned ham.
Drive a fork truck.
Right, yeah. Well, I see myself here after, you know, this is my dream job. I've always wanted to do this menial task for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure you have. So,
yeah.
But I've never had anyone tell me what, you know, really that job that they applied for. It's always been something far different.
Yeah.
And even with one of my own people, when I left work, I was really pushing her hard because she said she wanted to be a marine biologist. And I'm like, so why aren't you a marine biologist?
Yeah, really.
And she looked at me and she's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, what are you going to do about it?
What's stopping you?
Nothing. She's 20 some years old, has no kids.
Oh, man.
Now's the time to become a marine biologist, yo.
Yeah.
You know, SeaWorld needs marine biologists or, you know, whatever. I mean, there's probably a million people out there.
Yeah. If you're young and listening and you're not tied down, do whatever.
Don't limit yourself.
Yes. Do your dreams.
Do your dreams.
Become a wrestler, become an entertainer, become a comedian, become a truck driver.
Yep.
Become a marine biologist.
And don't be afraid to fail.
Yes.
Because I think that's another thing too. I think that's a generational thing. We live in a world now of instant gratification.
Yeah.
Of both self and just in general. And it's kind of, the other thing is the attention spans have shrunk down to like the size of a goldfish.
Like 30 seconds.
I think we have attention spans that are less than goldfish.
Yeah.
Right. I've never done the research on that, so I'd have to dig into it, but it's somewhere in there because we can tell because of all the TikTok and all this short, you know, like if you look at, you know, I even use some of the stuff to promote like our podcast is like the short form video stuff and the shorts, like the less than 1 minute stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we're consuming more of every day. And it's lowering our attention span. But with that is if it's anything that takes any time and any effort, then we tend to not do it.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about a big dream thing, it takes work to get there.
Yeah.
Very few people hit, you know, gold the first time they throw a pick in the ground.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that. It's going to take time. So I say that to say, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
You got to get in there and screw up.
I think there's a better thing of, well, I want to do this, but I never did, versus I tried it and I failed. Hey, at least you tried.
Yeah.
Not very many people can say that.
No, they don't. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stare past my boom arm here to read this. Jesus called a little child, and this is in Matthew 18. I'll start at verse 1. I was reading verse 2, but I'll roll it back to verse 1. About that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, who is greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Jesus called a little child to him and put the child among them. Then he said, I tell you the truth, unless you turn from your sins and become like little children, you'll never get into the kingdom of heaven. So anyone who becomes as humble as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And anyone who welcomes a little child like this one on my behalf is welcoming me. But if you cause one of these little ones who trust in me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea.
Yeah.
So be like little children.
That's right.
And they're very faith driven. Like, not necessarily spiritual faith driven, but like they haven't been beat up.
No. Yeah.
And they just have an element to them of like the way that a child views their parents, like their dad.
Yeah.
My dad get beat up your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of silly stuff.
Yeah.
Because they view their parents in such a purest way of trusting.
Yeah.
Like if there's a proper relationship there. And obviously, unfortunately, we've had a lot of people who have not followed that and have caused little ones to stumble because of how they've treated them.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
No, it's not. I've always dreamed big about anything.
I think we're called to.
Yes.
And that's what's counter to the world.
Yeah.
Now, there's a difference, we talked about this before you hit record too. There's a difference between dreaming big and being unrealistic.
Yes. Yes.
Again, you are not going to hit gold the first time that you throw the pick into the dirt.
Yeah.
The likelihood is very, very low. So what you do is you have to set reasonable goals to work up to the big dreams, right? And the other thing too is, I think the way that the world goes about achieving goals or dreams in certain instances, because one of the things I will say, when you look at like a lot of the actresses or actors and singers and famous people, they do have a tremendous drive.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. Like they have been gifted with an otherworldly ability to really persevere and drive and push through things, obstacles, and overcome them. The problem is a lot of times they do it outside of God.
Yeah.
And when you do it outside of God, a lot of times I think you make deals with the devil and he helps you to get there.
Yeah.
And so you should have the same mentality, but your compass needle needs to point towards north in God instead of Satan and south.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people go wrong.
I watched, I think it was last week or the week before, watched a thing about Kurt Angle.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
An Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, went to WWE.
Yeah. Before he went to the Olympics, he broke his neck. And he still wrestled.
I think he hit it, didn't he?
Yeah, and he became a gold medalist with a broken neck.
With a broken neck.
Yeah.
And beat the guy that, it's like the Russian Bear or something like that.
Yeah, he was crazy.
Or is that the other guy, Roland Garrett, somebody?
I can't remember.
He's another one, too.
Yeah, that he had to wrestle, but it was,
broken neck, man.
Drive.
Yeah.
Nobody has that today. Very few people.
And the separation typically is very stark between the do's and the don'ts.
Yeah.
And I think the difference there is just they make a deal with the devil, and they do that instead of following what God has to say and what God's path is.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because they become so disillusioned and often so sick.
Oh, yeah.
The drug addiction and the alcohol. I mean, like when you watch, oh my goodness, go throw on like Behind the Music.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. Like all of them, it's like they're vying for which one had the craziest story of debauchery.
Yeah.
Made it to the heights of success.
But
are, killing their friends in car crashes because they're drunk or ODing and choking on their puke and dying. Yeah. In the a la, John Bonham
Yeah.
and Bon Scott,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy.
Yeah. Just because,
Yeah.
they
Keith Moon.
Yeah. Probably there was something missing. And I think that
I wonder what that is.
It was a God-shaped hole, pretty much is what it was.
Because you can't fill it with stuff.
No, you can't.
And they do. They've got everything, right? Like it is so funny because it is literally the epitome of Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
That everyone, if you're rich and famous, and even if you don't believe in the Bible or you don't believe in God, for a fact Solomon was king. It's verifiable. You can go find it, right? And you can find out how wealthy this guy is. And you can go read Ecclesiastes, and this dude is going to tell you, I have literally had everything you can have.
Yeah.
I have had women. I have had riches beyond anything you could dream of. I had nothing everything my heart ever desired, I had access to. And it's all meaningless.
Yeah.
Outside of God.
Yeah.
Outside of faith and outside of a relationship with the Lord, it is completely meaningless. Because you can't take it. It's the old saying, it's cliche, but it's true. You can't take it with you.
Yeah. I seen a thing this past week. I don't know if it's true about when, Alexander the Great died at his funeral. He said, have 6 doctors carry me because even doctors can't cure death.
Just to rub it in on them.
And then be able to see my hands move because they won't be able to feel the wind. And then have my treasures on the ground because you can't take it with you. Might as well walk on it. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't,
It is. You go read the Bible and I forget where it gets into all the lineage. I think it's probably Kings, obviously. Gets into the lineage of the kings and you can read. Like you'll have David and Solomon and then butthole after butthole, And it's the way it goes though, right?
Yeah.
Like their kids are morons.
Yeah.
And they're unappreciative and they're destructive and they run everything into the ground and the kingdom falls apart and all the riches are gone. And then you'll have a good king that starts to clean things up and things start to return and riches come back and the kingdom's in good shape. And then they have a butthole kid that takes it and turns it into the same nightmarish mess.
Yeah.
That is the story of life from the time that we were created until the time that the Lord decides that the show is over.
Yeah.
And judgment time has come. That will be the way it is until that time.
Yeah. You can't, it's
so your task is to take as many people and get them to the Lord as you can, get your family and get yourself to the Lord, have a relationship with Christ and, and do God's work and you'll be happy.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? That's why I don't know. Maybe for me, like we've talked about this before, I think I am not wired like a lot of guys. Like a lot of guys have a very huge issue with the concept of leaving a legacy.
Yeah, we have.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about this before. I do not have that.
I know.
I don't. It's not in my DNA for whatever reason, because I just am not concerned with that. I am concerned about exactly what I just said. I want to have my family members and my friends and my kids be with me in heaven.
Yeah.
Because who cares? This show's going to come to an end at some point anyway.
Yeah.
And the book's going to get closed on this here party. So congratulations on getting remembered for longer than someone else, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Unless you're like a really famous person, a George Washington, Gandhi.
Were they really that great?
Exactly. Exactly.
Gandhi was a partier, and we can,
exactly.
And Washington had slaves,
Exactly. So
sorry to jump on that boat.
No,
but
it's true. That's not. You're not lying. You're not telling us anything that's not true, right? Like the founding fathers made no bones about it. They're like, we know that this is a problem, but we're not going to tackle that right now.
I know.
We're going to worry with getting freedom ourselves first, and then we'll worry about freeing other people later.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, you can pick apart any man because we're all sinful.
Yes.
So it's like I don't worry about that stuff. I just if that happens to me, then so be it. But the likelihood is that it's not going to happen. If it does, it does, and if it doesn't, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah,
I'll be happy. I'm good.
I've never been tied up with leaving something.
No, like if I just want to have my kids say that,
Yeah.
I was lucky to have the dad I did.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had that relationship with my father, and here's what I learned from him. That's fantastic. If that, I may have one that, doesn't feel that way. Who knows? I don't know. I can't say, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I just want to do the best I can from here until the end, and I want to do God's work.
Yeah.
And I just want to be happy, because if I'm happy, then I spread happiness.
Yeah. That's
just
true.
like if you're angry and you're bitter and you're discontent, guess what you're going to spread?
Yeah.
Anger, bitterness, and discontentment.
Yeah, it's true.
And it sucks. I don't want to be that way. It does. It's totally awful. So it's terrible. I have no desire to be that way. So that's why I'm excited. It's like God gifted. We've talked about this before too. I believe God gives every single one of us uniquely and differently. And
I still say that's why they're called talents.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're not using your talents for God,
Mhm.
I mean, we could take that parable to, it doesn't have to be money. It could be the gifts God gave you.
That's right.
And if you're not using, he could take them away. He could take
Yeah.
your gifts away.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic piano player, are you? How about some cerebral palsy
Yeah.
or ALS or something else that
Yeah.
debilitates your ability to play,
Yeah.
or any instrument for that matter?
Yeah.
Painter, great painter. How about we strike you with blindness?
Yeah.
I mean, like there's a million things, right?
It sounds crazy, but God wants the glory.
He does, and when you give it to him, you're better off and you're happier,
Yeah.
right? Like when you get past the fact of yourself and you make it about God and about like some other people, you're so much happier, because I think that the greatest joy in the world, like I always look at it like, it's fun to, we all play this game. It's the, it's the game of, if I won the lottery, what would I do? Right? We all play this before.
I was just playing this with a friend the other day.
Yeah. Okay. So it's funny because, now Christ said, right, it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. Now, what he's saying by that is, just to clarify, money is not bad.
Yeah.
It's the love of money that's the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Not money, the love of money. And what money does. Money tends to corrupt.
Yeah.
But there are things too that people don't even think about most of the time. Like, let's say you won the lottery, and let's say that you cleared $50 million. Okay. Okay. Now let's turn it. You live with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's turn around and immediately go, okay, I'm a firm believer in tithing, right? I need to give $5 million to the church because I got 50.
Yeah.
That's 10%, right? At least, right?
Yeah.
Probably going to give more. Would I give $5 million to our church? No way. There's no way. It would be like dropping a bomb on that church. It would be like dropping a bomb on most churches.
Yeah, it would be.
Like to hand a small
yeah.
church like that $5 million
Yeah.
to just hand it to them, like that would be crazy. You could potentially cause more harm than good.
Yeah.
Doing something like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's crazy things that you never have to think about.
Yeah.
Would I give? Of course, I would give money to the church. I'm not saying I wouldn't, and I would find a way to give my $5 million, but it would probably be spread amongst other charitable events and certain amounts, or maybe a trust or something like that, right?
Question.
Yeah.
To give your 10% to God, does it have to be to a church?
I've always been taught that it should go to your church, but that's what I was taught.
But let's see.
Because I've never read anything.
Let's look what Abraham did. He gave it to Melchizedek.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
What was it? 10%? Isn't that, or was he gave a lot of money? It doesn't say 10%.
He was rich.
He gave him a lot of money to the
probably more than 10
priest of Melchizedek. And who was Melchizedek he was kind of like a symbol of Christ.
Yep.
So he was kind of in the church, but he wasn't the church. So I think we're just supposed to give this is just me. I think we're supposed to have a heart of giveness, and
I agree.
And so you could give somebody you don't even know money.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too. Like, I think that for me and for Adrian, like, we've had this conversation many times. Dude, you want to have fun?
Yeah.
Just give.
Yeah.
You have that, if you got that kind of money, because, when you get that kind of money, like, you could give me $1 million right now and I'll never have to work again.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people are to the point where they probably would be like, nah, I'd have to keep working, which is crazy. $1 million, but
I remember one Christmas, this was years ago, the kids were all little, and I think we had several $100s that we got from somebody in the mail. I don't know who it was. There was no name or anything. It was all cash.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And I was just like, wow.
I know, right?
The crazy thing was, it was like, I was humbled. Not like, oh no, I was just like, somebody cares enough,
Yeah, no, I have. Okay. So I was going to share this story with you off air, but I'm going to share it on air. Okay.
Okay.
Cause it's a true story. And this is something that I just find this funny because it's how tithing works. So, first of all, when it comes to tithing, I can't stress enough to anyone listening to our voices to tithe, give 10%. It is the only area in the Bible that God says to challenge him, test him in this, and see what he does. I believe it is a huge key to your heart and your faithfulness and your turning over your life to God to trust.
And if you don't have money, give your time.
Give your time. Give your time. But
give
just
your
give
faith.
Yeah, God knows your heart, right? So anyway, through this transition period of leaving my employer, obviously I left a job that I was doing well financially. We were doing well, and so we're kind of going forward, and we've still had some things coming in, and I've still been tithing off that. We made the decision together as a couple that we were going to continue to give the 10%. And since we've been at the church and there's no bank close, we've been writing checks. Well, it takes a while for the check to clear, and it's just kind of I got off somehow in the amount that we were supposed to give. And I think I gave $300 too much.
Uh-oh.
At some point. And I hadn't reconciled that yet in our checking. I got a spreadsheet for everything, and I'm a nerd. I will balance everything down to the penny. And if I don't, I will search until I find it, like a ferret looking for a cracker. And I meet up with a friend. And at the end of meeting up with a friend, they literally, and I had God tell me, I had God tell me before I met this friend, he's going to try to give you money. Don't not take it. Don't be prideful and just accept it because it's my gift that I'm using him to give you.
Yeah.
Don't turn it away. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. I don't, and I'm good. It's okay. I don't need it. And sure enough, he did. He reaches out and he tries to put it in my pocket, and I kind of cover my pocket, right? And I'm like, no, man, you don't do that. He's like, no, you need to take this money. And I'm like, okay. And I remember what God told me, right? And I'm like, he goes, and he looks at me, and he goes, God told me to give it to you. And I'm like, okay, dude, I'll take it, And so I take it and I put it in my pocket. I didn't even look, right? It's like folded up. And, we say our goodbyes, hug him, tell him love him. He goes on his way. I go and I'm walking to the car. And as I'm walking to the car, God goes, you have several $100s in your pocket. And I'm like, that's crazy. So I literally get in the car and I pull it out, and there's $301 in my pocket. All right. I come home, and I think it was that same day I sat down, because I typically do on Fridays, and I started to reconcile our budget, and I found that I had tithed $300.70 too much.
Wow. That's awesome.
What are the odds of that?
That's crazy.
So the moral of the story is God's stingy, and he only gave me 30 cents extra. No, I'm totally kidding. But that's funny. That's how that works.
Yeah.
I have had so many things like that happen.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Especially when you don't have it and you give it and you give it. And again, I'm not here to judge any human being. That's between you and God. God knows your heart. I'm just sharing with you my experience. This literally just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like when the Pharisee or the rich guy and the poor lady, she gave her last mite.
Oh,
and Jesus
he gave his 10%.
Yeah, and Jesus said she gave everything that she could.
Which one is greater between the two?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she gave out of her lack, and he gave out of his excess.
Yep. It was their heart.
That's right.
Yeah.
So sorry to my friend, but God used you as the tithing rebate program. No, that's cool, man. That's a cool story because he was doing what he felt God told him to do, and I begrudgingly did what God told me to do because I'm like, yeah, it's a pride thing,
Yeah.
And I knew that. It's like I could tell, I could feel it. I'm like, you talk a good game, but are you willing to live it yourself? Are you willing to set aside your pride?
Yeah.
And, quote unquote, take the handout, which I didn't need.
No.
I don't. But it wasn't about need. It was about faithfulness.
Yeah.
It was about being faithful. And God. The other thing too is like, it was fun because I just kind of drove home after that. And I just had a really good kind of quiet conversation with God, which really wasn't even a conversation. It was just God talking to me.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too that I would encourage anyone to do is like, when you start walking in faith with God and you start doing what he tells you to do and you listen, you will hear him talk to you.
Yeah.
It's not like we talk right now. It's subconscious talk.
Yeah.
But he will talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
And he will tell you stuff. But we're so caught up a lot of times that we just dismiss it because we think it's part of our brain just coming up with stuff. It's not your brain coming up with stuff.
Yeah.
It's God and the Holy Spirit talking to you through the Holy Spirit inside of you.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to get more and more attuned. And I think that's what happens the more you exercise and the more you step in God's faith and God's will, the more attuned you get to listening to that we call it the still small voice, right? A lot of times you'll hear it referred to that way. That's the Holy Spirit talking to you. And I don't want it to be a still small voice. I want it to be a loud, clear as a bell, voice that
You want to be driving down the road and there's the sign.
I do, and I think
that's not how it works.
Not sometimes. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. It is funny, however, that God will give you signs when you ask for them.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's like, okay, oh, you need a sign. Okay, I'll give you a sign.
Yeah.
And he will do that. Not always, but there are times when he will do that.
Yeah. Like, I think I told you before, I've been having dreams. And one of the dreams, it was weird. I don't know if I've shared this or not. If I have, it's a repeat. If
I repeat stuff all the time.
One of the dreams was, I was like in front of this guy that was like in a business suit. He was very dressed up like a boss.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Aren't you going to do what I told you to do?" In a very like convicting way.
Yeah.
And I realized,
not in a mean way, but like a convicting way.
Yeah, like in my dream, I felt it in my soul.
Yeah.
And I realized this isn't a guy. This is like God talking to me. And I'm like, okay, I know. And I said, yes, I know. I would. And then later, as the dream went on, he showed me things and I was like, okay, this, and I've had that dream several times and I'm a man. I'm stubborn. I drag my feet. I'll be honest.
We do. I'm the same.
And the fact that you can be moving towards God, he's still going to be prodding you.
Yeah, and it's strange too, because one of the other things that I found about God as I've listened more and more, he does a few different things that are different. A lot of times when you're looking for advice and you're looking for confirmation, either for or against something, and it's mainly, I find this more mainly happens when if you're looking for confirmation against something that you should do.
Yeah.
You'll hear nothing. Radio silence, baby. Just nothing. Zero. And that's typically, I think, God going, I don't have an opinion on that. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
And then more often than not, when it's confirmation of something, you typically want to have some kind of sign. So you'll go down that road, and then he will put people in your path or something in your path that'll mention it, or it's a sign on the side of the road or something.
Yeah.
Not always, but he will do that. And it's kind of interesting. But the other thing that God does that is hard to understand is a lot of times what will happen is you will hear no. It's like, I always think of it like William Wallace in Braveheart. Hold. You know, the cavalry's charging at you, and then it's like, go, now.
Yeah.
And it's like brake, slam the gas. Now's the time.
Yeah.
Or like we have a lot of times as human beings, we want to slowly especially when it's something that we're not sure about, we want to slowly ease into this transition.
You get into the pool.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, what are you waiting on? Get in the pool.
Yeah, you just jump in.
Just jump in the pool. What are you waiting on? And that's just funny because it's just, he doesn't operate the way we operate. And so when it's go time, a lot of times you're jumping out of the plane.
Yeah.
What are you waiting on? Off you go.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I had a dream the other night about jumping out of a plane, which I would never jump out of a plane unless I had a gun to my head. Or if God asked me to, I'd jump out of a plane. But I'd like to think I would anyway.
I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm like, what's that parachute rated to? Is it rated for baby pachyderm? I need to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, I've noticed those two things where it's like all brake, not yet. And then it's like smash the gas pedal.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, you're not doing it? Come on, do it. Do it. Why aren't you doing it? Yep. You should have been done. It should have been done already.
Yeah. And just kind of passed you by.
Yeah. And I've felt like that a lot of times. I'm like one that's, I try to look for every possible sign. I'm like, like Gideon laying out the fleece constantly, Here it is 3 years later and it's rotted and went away, I
hear you.
But
I've got sermons that I've written. Well, not written, but I've got sermon ideas that I have long recorded down years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some use at some point.
Yeah. I would write sermons and things. I've gotten them written down and ideas in a notebook.
Yeah.
I keep in my car for work and I just write it down. And I wouldn't call it a sermon as so much a conversation with God.
These would be, in my particular case, they would be sermon topics.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where it was funny because God wouldn't leave me alone until I wrote them down, and then, like they kept coming up. It's not like if it's me coming up with them, that is the most weird, random, pie in the sky, plucked out of nowhereville thing.
Yeah.
Because I would be driving down the road, doing my own thing, hadn't thought about it in months or weeks or whatever, listening to a song on the radio, not thinking a thing about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
This idea. Remember that idea? Do that thing.
Yeah.
And that would happen. And I literally went a couple of years with that happening before I finally was like, okay, fine, I'll write it down.
Yeah.
And I did.
I like sometimes at work, when I'm driving to work, from home to work, wherever I'm working at that day, just like my quiet time. I don't have headphones in or listen to anything. And it's like just kind of quiet and just kind of meditating on things. And it's like the conversation that I have is crazy. I'll start thinking about something and it'll go, God will like mentally direct me to a verse.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would like mentally direct me to an old hymn from a verse of a hymn or a chorus. Wow. and they were all connected. And I'm like, I get it. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
You know, and it's like that. Oh, I think that's that. What is it? That nonstop prayer. It's not really praying, but you're in
Prayer, conversation continuously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pray without ceasing.
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you just sit there and pray like with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
You literally don't do anything. It's just have a conversation all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how you have a good relationship with anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like you have conversation all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and that's the cool thing is, you know, God's wherever you are, man. He's like Visa.
Yeah. It's true.
He's wherever you need to be or want to be.
It's like when Jesus said, you know, you won't need to go to the temple. You'll worship him in spirit and truth.
Yep. Soon you only, yep. Yeah. And I think that is I think that's a gift of the Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think that the Holy Spirit is something for me that I want to do a better job of understanding and getting more knowledge on and leaning into more, because I tend to focus on Christ and I focused on God, and I don't necessarily probably listen as well.
Yeah.
And now that I finally have started to develop an attunement a little bit where I notice things are happening more.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, my radar's up and I've increased that part of my God IQ, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's where the cool stuff is,
Yeah.
because that's like direct communication from God,
Yeah.
you know, and it's typically download.
It's
It's one way.
make sure you got enough gigs on that USB.
Yeah, there ain't as much as there used to be, Ben. And I think some of the sectors have gone bad. I need a defrag. Need a brain disk defragment. But yeah, no, it's cool. Like, we had a good conversation on the way home, and the thing I took away from that after the whole $300 thing, 301, was, you know, I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
You know that, right? Like, you tend to doubt me sometimes on that front, and you know I'm going to take care of you. But you've done a good job of, you know, through this, that you've been faithful. You could be a little bit more, you know, and not worry about stuff. I've told you before, I'm going to take care of you. And I just showed you again, I'm going to take care of you. Even when you don't need it,
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of you. And I gave you a rebate because you did when most people wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And that was good, and you did a good job. And it's like, okay. So that was good for me, because it was like, you know, you're constantly fighting against our human side.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and our human side is very flesh driven and very need driven and self-centered. And, you know, I mean, like, that's just who we are. That's how we're wired naturally. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, we fight against it more, and, you know, we get better at, you know, living in the other way.
Yeah.
And not doing that. But, you know, you tend to slip into those cozy pajamas.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's who we are.
We do not like to get out of our comfort zone at all.
No, we were talking about that earlier too.
And when God, you know, here's let you in on a little bit of Ben.
Ooh.
I think we've had this conversation before when he came over one night.
I need like segment intros here where there's like a little lady that pops up and sings like a jingle, and then you can go into your story. Couch time with Ben.
Like that night you said, come over in your pajamas and everything. And
for you and Maria.
And I do not leave. Once when my pajamas are on, I don't leave the house. So for me, my comfort zone is my pajamas in the house, nowhere else. Yeah. You know, that's
and your jammies.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not going anywhere. That's my dream, you know.
Yeah.
But God is like my jeans. That I know this sounds crazy. When I put on my jeans, I'm ready to go somewhere. It's like, okay, God, I'm ready to do this.
Oh, that's funny.
So the minute if I'm wearing my pajamas and we're somewhere, God's called me, definitely.
Oh man, you're following it big time because he didn't switch into his jeans.
That's right.
That's hilarious.
And that's where I would say that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, I'm comfortable, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, like for me, it's just weird, you know, like I said to you before we hit record, I said to my buddy the other day, I'm like, I'm in this weird space and I'm in this field and there's fog all around and I'm just walking and I'm walking which way I think God wants me to walk. He wants me to walk. I know that. He doesn't want me to just stand there and do nothing, because that's a lot of people what people do too.
Yeah.
That's not right. God doesn't operate that way. He ain't going to do if you don't get moving. He can, and sometimes he does, but most of the time I think he wants you got to do some work too. He's not just going to sit there and do for you if you're not going to do for yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to put the work. You got to put some work in.
Yeah. David, look what David did.
Exactly. Yeah.
He went and fed his brothers and decided to kill a giant.
That's right. Murder that guy for you and get this war over?
Yeah.
I can do that. No problem. But yeah, now he wants you to do stuff. So I'm just walking and I'm waiting for the fog to clear. And just, I'm living Proverbs 3:5 right now. Seek the Lord with all your heart and understanding, and He'll show you which path, make your path straight, show you which paths to take.
Am I in the field? Kyle, over here.
I hear a lot of voices, which could be bad, man. Yeah. I didn't say it was a poppy field, did I? At the end of Copperhead Road. No. It's cool because it's better than where I was before, because before I was in the field, at least I'm listening, right? And the fog will clear. It's just a season, right? It's just it's a scary season because it's unknown. We don't like unknown.
Yeah.
That's not comfort. We're wired for comfort.
Yeah.
That's who we are as human beings.
Yeah. Now, I think there's a lot of people that, as we were talking earlier, I think they would be happy if they started walking. Yeah, just walk, man. Just walk. Don't stay. You stay stagnant. You rest and collect dust and die.
You do. That is a surefire way to. What happens is you mentally erode.
Yeah,
and then you physically erode.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah.
You mentally first, and then physically after follows. They're tied at the hip.
Yeah.
And they don't. Yeah. It's like one of the things we talked about. Had a great conversation with someone yesterday. Came over and visited, who, we talked about stagnation and how that can lead to that, but then also how sad it is at how willing people are to remain comfortable and what they're willing to give up to remain in their comfort.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you look at COVID, and I watch what people were willing to do to remain in their comfort for COVID. And you look at the decay of our country and what we've allowed to happen and what we've put up with because we don't want to step out there and potentially give up our comfort. It's sad.
Yeah.
It really is. It's really sad. What's the old saying? There's something there. I forget who said it. Some saying along the lines of, if you're willing to give up your freedom for comfort, soon you won't have either.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty paraphrased, but somebody said something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty true.
Yeah, it is.
And I fear that's where we're headed. Like we had a discussion earlier too about, we're kind of in the season right now where it's the political season, and we were talking about maybe discussing some things there, but we decided instead to follow your dreams.
Yeah. And
step into your giftings.
Yes. And, I am just, and this is kind of what I was thinking when you were talking, was like, when you were talking about, you get stagnant, and working by myself all the time, I think my mental IQ was dropping.
Left with your own devices, look what happens.
And not because, I should say, my communication skills, because I don't talk to anybody.
Oh yeah.
It's just, I do talk to myself, and that's kind of, but there's no banter.
Yeah. There's no social interaction,
and there's no, there's
no feedback.
Yes. And there's no sharpening of any sword.
Yeah.
And I would say this is like really helped with that.
Oh, well, good.
And there's another guy I talked to quite a bit.
The bill's in the mail.
Okay. Another $20.
Sure, why not? Rich $20 at a time.
Should I tell them the joke?
Oh yeah, every time Ben uses the restroom here, he has to pay $20. So that's Don't come visit. If you do, drain the bladder at a gas station before you do.
That's
charge
right.
$20. Yeah, no, I don't really charge $20 to use my restroom. I charge $50. I just tell Ben he gets his friend discount.
But no, it's really, that sharpening is very important. And I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, we had a good conversation about that last night too when our guest was here, talking about generational differences. Like our generation, as far as Gen X, and this is not a beat down session or anything, it's just a fact. We were the last generation where we went outside and we didn't have all the technology to destroy our brains.
Oh, yeah.
We do now, and we still fall victim to it now, but not to the level of the kids that are coming up now. We were the generation that literally rode our bikes and played sports and outside and hung out together and drank out of garden hoses and played in the woods and did all these things.
Oh, yeah.
And, came home when the street lights came on.
Yeah.
And that's our generation. And we're the latchkey kids. And it taught us independence. It taught us how to use our imaginations. It taught us how to problem solve.
Oh, yeah.
But we also were there, at least, especially like our age range, where we are kind of the lower end of the Gen X, the younger of the Gen X. We were there.
We were the ones that got tortured.
We were the ones that got, I don't know about you, but I got stuffed in a toy box, and then the toy box sat on, and now I'm horribly claustrophobic. Thanks, bro. If you're listening to my voice, thank you for that. So my defense mechanism to that was to get so fat that no one would ever put me in a toy box again. Now if you want to do that stuff to me, good luck getting me in the toy box 1. And before that, I'm going full limp toddler, and you are never going to even get me near the toy box. You better bring friends. You better have a posse and ropes if you're going to. Because then I am going to fight like a Kodiak after a salmon to get but.
I'm sorry. That was funny.
That's okay. It's meant to be funny.
I just had 2 little brothers that beat me. That's all.
I had one of my brother's friends punch me full on dead on in the nose and bloodied my nose just for funsies.
Oh, man.
He just was like, hey, that looks like fun. I'm going to soul sock you in the face. He's a big guy too. He's probably 6'3", 240.
Holy cow.
He's a big dude. He just pow for nothing. I didn't do anything.
Oh, man.
Just to be a jerk.
Yeah.
But yeah, when my brother and his friends, not so much when he was a teenager, but when he was a kind of younger teen, I guess, because there's an 8.5 years difference between us. And they would get bored when his buddies would come over and our parents would both be gone. And it was like, well, we're bored. What are we going to do? Where's your brother? We're going to torture him. It'll be fun.
See, when my brothers moved out, it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday morning cartoons, they were great. Then my dad would walk in and throw some boxing gloves at me and be like, come on, let's spar. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Like, I don't want to. And we'd be in the living room and he'd be like, I'm going to plant my right leg upside your head. And I'm like, I know you are. Why are you telling me? And the next thing I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
So it was just,
Trial by combat.
Yeah, it was. I think he was bored. And he knew that I wouldn't put up much of a fight.
Good job. I hope you're proud of yourself, Larry. I'm sure there'll be another story that comes out of this that your story's not accurate. That's not how it went down. I've heard this before. So
no, it was probably getting me ready for some karate tournament or something. But
right,
but it was just like one of those things that just it was all in fun.
Yeah.
It was never mean or malice. I don't know. Man, unless he was taking some frustration out on me.
Maybe so. Yeah, you got ninja kicked in the head, just taking it out on you. You were the punching bag.
Yeah, I was the youngest, so
there you go.
I got picked on by my dad after my brothers moved out. So
yeah, I was lucky there. I didn't really get picked on too much. But yeah, it was kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
I remember though when I was a kid, we had a cable early on.
Oh yeah.
Like when it first came out, and it had the cord that ran to the TV, and it came to a box, and you had to push buttons on the box in order to change the channels. That was kind of cool. I remember watching Fraggle Rock and all that. But see, now our generation, since we are the closest to the millennials, which just gives me shivers when I say that, but we did fine in the analog world.
Oh yeah.
But we also do fine in the tech world for the most part.
Yeah.
we can exist in either one.
I don't think any kids these days could handle a Commodore 64 like I could.
Oh no, they would not be okay. No, they couldn't do it. But when you look, the other thing too is for most of us, like since we didn't have the technology in order to socially interact, going back to your point, this is what made me think of it. In order to socially interact with each other, we had to literally physically get together.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a huge push for independence.
Yeah.
So at 16 years old, I was chomping at the bit to get my license, dude.
Me too.
I want out of here. I want to be able to go meet up with my buddies, go to the mall, run around, go play football in a park or just whatever.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't wait. Well, when you look at these guys now, they don't have that.
No.
So they're literally developmentally probably about, I would say 4 to 5 years behind where we were.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
And the reason for that is they don't have that push for, and with the independence, right? Like, at least for me, it was like, okay, I got the car. That's great. But my parents rightfully so, aren't going to pay for the gasoline and all that. So I need to get a job. Right.
Yeah.
So, I go in and get a job, and then that teaches you all kinds of stuff. That's huge, getting a job, because you have your own money. You have your own financial independence. You learn how to manage money if you have parents that show you that, which I would highly encourage. And then also, you learn what the world's like. So you get money, you learn what the world's like, you learn how to pay bills, you learn how to do all those things. And then, you have all that. So that's at 16.
Yeah.
Well, these guys now, because they're so socially interconnected with all of their electronics, the gaming devices, the texting, the Snapchat, the social media stuff, all of these things, they do not have the push to go and physically meet up.
Oh, yeah.
Like we have.
Oh, they're right here.
They do. They do everything electronically.
Yeah.
So they have no need to have a car and no desire to go get a license, because that's just extra work to them. They don't, why? I don't need to do that. I can do everything with my phone.
Yeah.
So then they don't have a job either. So that's why I think it's really important that we get back to forcing these kids to go get a job at 16 and learning how to drive a car.
Yeah.
And limiting their screen time and all these things, because the technology is literally crippling these people.
Like our youngest, she'll graduate. She'll be a senior next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if can get her license yet, because she's still pretty young as a junior, but she has a job that all of them have jobs.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, they wanted money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we refused to.
No, you shouldn't.
We're like, if we were going out to eat, we're like, well, you guys can't go because we can't afford you guys. And they're like, but so now.
You could always, what's the matter?
Well, you're not eating off the kids' meal anymore. So
that's right. It gets expensive.
Yeah. And so
especially when there's 5 of them.
Yeah. So now they have their own money. Now they're paying for things.
You should have minded your Minecraft toy more. That's a side joke that no one else will understand, but that's okay. We keep going.
And it's just, it's crazy. And things are so expensive now.
Yes, they're ridiculous. I literally went to McDonald's the other day and got 2 double cheeseburgers, and then the fry was on sale because it was like Friday, and it was like free fry Friday.
Yeah.
2 double cheeseburgers and a medium fry was like $6.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At McDonald's.
When Marie and I started dating, I tell the kids this. They probably get tired of it, but they wish it was still that way. It was like $20. We could go out to eat, go see a movie, and get some kind of dessert.
You're not doing that now unless you steal food and smuggle your way into the movie theater through the roof.
Yes.
Yes. There's no way.
No. $20.
Yeah. You're not going to.
2 people on a Friday night. That was a date.
Yeah. Not anymore.
That was a good time.
To be fair to these guys too, like I look at the costs of things, even here in like where we're at out here, the costs have gone up so much. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to be able to live on their own.
No, they'll never be able to live on their own.
And that is all, I think, by design.
Yeah.
I think it's by design.
Yeah. They're going to be living on, well.
No, I will make them homeless. They will not be living here. We'll figure something out. They're going to have to partner up or something. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. But this is why it's so important for them to go and get their license and to have a job and to earn their own money and learn how to manage money and pay bills.
They need to
Because
follow their dreams.
they do. Yeah, because that's what it shows you.
Yeah.
When Jesse, goes to Papa John's and it's terrible because the manager's a train wreck.
Yeah.
And he sees that was fantastic because it was like, you got a good flavor of what life looks like if you don't want to follow your dreams.
Yeah.
You want to do this forever? You want to
Does he like where he's at now?
He likes it better.
But it's I know it's not.
It's not his jam because of what it is.
Yeah.
That's just not him.
But
But he gets to hang out with yours, and then it's he makes $2 more.
Yeah.
They're making 12, so
Yeah. I don't know how much they make. I don't ask.
they're making 12.
And he got a Christmas bonus. Did he?
No, I don't think so.
I thought it was like $20-$25.
No, not that I'm aware of.
No, I don't know.
Maybe he hid that from us.
It was cash or a card or something. Uh-oh. Sorry, Jesse, if I got you in trouble.
No, Jesse got Jesse in trouble.
I don't know.
I don't know that he did. He would have told us probably. I'll ask him.
I don't know. I mean,
And see, that's the thing too. Like, I set him up with a budget, and like when he gets paid, we sit down, we go through the budget, we put the money in. I have a budget automatically set up to pull out X amount percentage wise for entertainment. X amount goes to your savings, and 10% goes to your tithe. He transfers us his tithe money and any payments that he has, and then we pay it and just include it in ours when we pay the church.
yeah.
That way he gets used to tithing
Yeah.
because it's important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do that. Like I would encourage people to for the young people out there, get on that train, man.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams.
Yeah, really. I would
And don't worry about money.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean by that is don't chase money.
No.
Chase your dreams. Because here's the way this works. If you enjoy doing something, you tend to be really good at it.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And the money will follow. The money will follow.
Yeah.
And money's not the key to happiness anyway, but the money tends to follow.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a heart, like your heart's in the right place. God will honor that. He'll bless you.
Yeah. See, what you do, the side with the website and the computer work, I can't do it all. I
like it.
You might as well speak Latin to me, because I'm still stuck in analog.
It's, what that is? That is, you're more artistically wired.
Yeah. And I was going to say that. I can.
That's why the show works well, because I'm more analytical and you're more artistic.
Yeah.
And so we think differently, but similarly in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the way that our strengths are opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same way for Adrienne and I too. Like, she's artistically wired and I'm more analytically wired. We were joking today, I forget the terms that your dad used in the sermon, but
Concrete sequential.
yeah.
And I can't remember the other.
Yeah, whatever the other one was. I'm concrete sequential. That's me.
Yeah.
And then she's the other. Oh, it wasn't sporadic. It was random.
Yeah, random.
Concrete sequential. Concrete sequential, which would be you like things in order, structure, spreadsheets, nerd stuff. And then the other would be random, which would be more artistic and kind of over the, scattered.
I do like things in order till I get them out of order.
Yeah, funny how that works. No, it's funny, man.
I need the book on the bottom. Oh, pull them all out and they all fall down. That's fine.
But yeah.
No, yeah, we had this conversation last week how it works so well, and I think that's why God brought us together.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. No doubt about it.
I mean, it's like, see, I think of painting a picture, and I'm like, oh yeah, and it's like you're talking about this, and I'm like, oh, I could paint a really cool picture of that, but he can do it right there just by a couple click of the keys.
No, I can't. No, I can't. No. Now, there's a lot that goes into anything like this. People don't really understand. Thankfully for I got to tell you, like when it comes to our podcast, for the most part, I got it pretty easy because like I don't edit a lot. Like I have literally here's what I do every week. Just for those of you, you're getting insight into how this works. I do not edit our podcast.
Yeah.
I really don't. Very, very rarely will I do any editing to our podcast other than I coughed a couple times at minute 5:41 and minute 7:06, and I will go back and I will edit those out so you don't have to hear me hack.
Yeah.
And that's it. Other than that, it is literally like as the conversation went, as it goes.
Yeah.
We just hit record and let it roll.
That's what I tell people, and I don't know if they believe me or not, you know.
I listen to like a lot of other people, and they're like, man, I had to do a lot of editing on the podcast and and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know why.
I know.
just let it go.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation. Just let it go.
Let it flow where it goes.
Now, if you get into, I will say this, like, and we've talked about this too, because you know we're in the process of, because we've been at this now for, 5 months? 5 months.
We started in August, 1st of August.
Yeah, that's right. So August, September, October, November, December. So yeah, 5 months. So literally, we'll be starting 6 months in January, right on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been at this for 6 months. So now we're kind of getting to the phase where it's like phase 2.
Yeah.
What does phase 2 look like? So we're starting to have more conversations around, like we talked about at the very beginning of the show, of like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? How are we going to do some things? How are we going to grow things? You know, what are some cool things we want to do? What are our big term, long term dreams, and then where we want to be? And what are our smaller steps to get there? And one of the things we talked about, maybe at some point down the line, is going to video a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, once you go to video, that is a whole nother element. You're going to do editing then.
Yeah.
Because you have to edit in, you have to change if you do it right, you got to change a view of who's talking. And, you know, there's a lot that goes into that. That is a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
From a lot of perspectives, but because I've done it before for a while, and I'm like, going to audio because this is a lot easier.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. It's fun. I'm excited for like whatever God wants to do with us.
I know. And I'm just, I guess we're like half, I don't even know if we're past the starting line yet, or we're just kind of,
I know, it's like the car's tuned up and now it's at the line.
Yeah. And it's just like, we're ready to go.
Get ready for takeoff.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
It's like all I've been thinking about all week is just like doing something live. And
yeah. So that's another thing too we've talked about. Now, granted, this is all just discussion, so we're not saying anything. We'll tell you officially. We'll announce everything out there if it so comes to pass. But we've talked about maybe doing some membership level stuff and some more live shows potentially. Don't know what that looks like yet, but definitely getting some merchandise up and going. Yeah, potentially. We'll see how some of that pans out. But yeah, some things on the horizon for the Tinfoil Hat Club.
I hope you guys stick around a long time. We're planning on it.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
For Ben and I, our dream is we'd like to maybe travel around a little bit too and do some of these talks, various different places as the audience maybe grows and we have the ability to do that. And, if God sees fit to bless us with that and he wants us to do that, then we'll do it.
That's the dream anyway.
Yeah, that's the dream.
If we're dreaming.
Hey, Ben, where are we going next week? Dallas, Texas. I think that's where we're going. See,
I've got friends in Texas, in Dallas area.
There you go.
I wish.
I would want to go to Dealey Plaza.
I've been there.
Have you been to Dealey Plaza?
Oh,
I think you were telling me this, and there was a guy that was there that day that was there the day of the assassination.
Yes.
I remember you telling this story now.
Yes.
Ah, that's crazy.
We even took the dogs there. They were with us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's pictures of us on the grassy knoll with the dogs.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I know. Yeah. Just think our dogs have been to Dealey Plaza and you haven't. How's that make you feel?
Doggone sad.
Had to.
Thanks, man.
Then we want to ride around the corner.
So I need to find a new host to co-host with me here. So if anyone wants to put in their resumes, feel free. You can do that. No, that's cool.
Then we went to really good ice cream right around the corner from there. So, the Dealey Plaza.
It's called Headshots.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Oh, wow.
I can't think of anything to come back with that.
No, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, that was just.
Did you get brain freeze? Oh, that's terrible.
I was in pieces.
Oh my goodness. These are terrible, terrible, terrible. It's sad because I think at this particular point, there's really no denying anymore that we did it.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
We killed our own president.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know how we can do that.
Why
would we not release anything? You know that the stuff in there, because one of the people that suppressed it, actually the last person to suppress it was Trump.
Yeah.
Trump suppressed the information from coming out, the full release of all the documents.
Yeah. Because
So, he had to read something in there.
people are still alive.
Yeah. And it went, no, can't do that. That's bad.
We had to go foily. We did.
Of course. We always go foiling.
Oh, speaking of Trump, I saw a video of Trump. What's his boy's name? Is it Junior?
Well, yeah, he's got a couple.
No, whatever the one that's like kind of helps him do stuff.
Yeah, I think that's Don Jr.
I saw a video of him. This is crazy, saying that he saw Michael Jackson still living.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm telling you, I saw. I mean, it was.
Well, I mean, I'm not doubting that you did. I just I don't believe it.
I know,
Jackson's still
that's-
alive. But.
and people want him as president.
Oh my goodness!
Take your pick.
Well, if you think Joe Biden's creepy to kids,
Yeah.
Yee.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll have Bubbles the monkey floating around in the White House when you go visit.
Yeah.
That's another thing I've always wanted to go and visit the White House. That's like
Yeah.
a bucket list thing. I want to go walk around the White House.
Me too. That's it's our house.
Yeah, back in the day, you could just walk in.
Yeah. No, you
You go
can't.
see the
I
president.
don't think you can anymore.
No, you have to. I think they still do tours, but I think in order to be on the tour, you literally have to ask permission from your senator in order to get access to go on the tour. That's what I was told.
Who is our senator? I don't even know who ours. See, I'm out of politics that much.
We
folks.
have here. I think you're still in the same area as me. I would think.
Yeah.
Anyway. Todd Young
saying
and
see, we're getting part of a conversation we had earlier.
yeah, sad to say.
Yeah, when you don't vote like I do, you don't. No,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I can't remember the last time I voted.
Yeah, Todd Young and I want to say Jim Baird.
That does sound familiar.
I think, but then we've got because there's two senators, and then no, there's only one senator.
I thought we had two.
Two senators,
Yeah.
senators, and 4 reps.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
I did see.
I think it's. I know Baird and Young.
Speaking of another
Are in there.
political, I saw a commercial for a guy that's running for governor for Indiana, a Republican, and it was a stupid commercial. And it said
Go figure.
It said his grandfather was a minister. So just because I know.
You want a cookie? You want a gold star to put on your lapel?
Yeah,
Or?
just because his granddad was a minister, I should vote for him.
Okay.
That's don't pay.
I hang out with a minister's kid all day long. That don't mean nothing.
Who's that?
I don't know who you're talking about, man. No idea.
If I knew he was a minister's kid, I wouldn't vote for him.
Right? We know how wild you are. Let's see. I will tell you in 2 seconds who our elected officials are that represent us. This is sad. We should really know this.
I know we should.
This is we're not being very dutiful right now. Hey, if you didn't know, Joe Biden is our president,
Okay.
and Kamala is our vice president.
Yeah.
They have D's next to their name. Personally, I wouldn't give him a D. I'd give him an F, but that's just me.
Who's the guy on the far right?
Oh, Mike Braun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mike Braun is our senator.
Is he a D?
No, he's an R.
I thought he was a D at one time.
No, he's an R. He's an elephant. We got elephants and jackasses.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. They're slow to get anything done, or they're just jackasses. Then you do. I was right on Todd Young.
Okay.
Yeah, I just was wrong. Barrett is a rep. And then, I think it's 2 senators and 1 rep.
Okay.
2 senators and 1 rep, I think. And then Holcomb is, of course, our governor.
Yeah.
And then Crouch is lieutenant, of course. And then it goes into our reps for the state and senators. They have upper and lower chamber. They don't do. Well, I think they do call them reps and senators. State senator, state rep. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I used to page down there at the State House.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was really involved in politics in high school and like when I got out. But you get older, you get jaded, and you just don't care.
Yeah, we talked about maybe having that. Like I said, that was a possible discussion point too, because, I think a lot of people are very disenfranchised with the whole system.
Yeah, they are.
I think they know that there was corruption and there's no doubt about it. And they just think it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're going to pick who they want anyway.
Yeah.
So why should I bother?
See, I don't.
But what are you going to do about it? That's the thing. Is like, okay, well, you believe that. What are you going to do about it?
See, when I was a kid, I never dreamed of being the president of the U.S.
I did.
I didn't because it didn't appeal to me.
I had potentially that dream up until a few years ago, even.
I'd vote for you.
But I appreciate that. Thank you.
I know you. I'd vote for you. You don't scare me.
Thank you.
I don't think you would turn one of the keys to launch the codes or whatever.
Well, it depends on who. The Capitol building? Yes, I would. I would nuke the Capitol building right now. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not getting elected now. Then again, maybe I would be getting elected with that statement. No, I've always had the dream of living in the White House, and I did have a dream of being a president, but I have no interest in being involved in politics at this particular point in my life.
No,
I've turned away from that.
Yeah, and it's almost that they want it to be your God.
I have made this solemn oath and pact in front of people, and I will keep that pact because it is my word. And if I don't have my word, then who am I? I have nothing.
Yeah.
That I would never run as a Republican or a Democrat.
Yeah, you can't.
I would run as an independent.
Yeah.
I would probably not even run as libertarian. I won't say that I won't run as libertarian, but I would more than likely run as an independent.
Yeah.
Because I am a probably disillusioned believer that I believe that this is the first time in history, because of technology, actually, because of all of the technology that is available, that the common man can once again get elected.
Yeah.
Because of all of the free advertising and platforms available to you that most people are now using that don't cost you anything. So you can actually have your message out there and interact with people, and it wouldn't break your bank.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on TV.
No, you don't.
So
you can be on TikTok, be on Instagram.
You can do all that
Facebook,
stuff.
YouTube.
Yep, bingo, jackpot. However, I will say this. Here's the problem with running as an independent. Republicans are the problem with running as an independent because the Republican Party has, I think this really occurred and has been the mantra since Ross Perot back in the 80s. They have convinced everyone and continue to convince everyone that if you vote for an independent, then you're just going to hand the election to the Democrats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they have convinced, especially all of the Republican conservative camp, that if you do that, you're just wasting your vote and you're basically giving the election to the Democrats.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because, the system is designed in a way that whoever gets the most votes wins. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we do have corruption and things like that. That's why it's really interesting to watch RFK run as an independent.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how that is going to work, especially considering that he actually does not come from the conservative side, but more of the left moderate.
But the funny thing is he's more conservative than most conservatives.
That's why I know. That's why, I even, after I said that, I thought, is he really? That I would give him left moderate.
But he's still.
I know, it's sad. And that's the thing. It's very different than when even you and I were kids again, because it was very polarized back when we were kids. I mean, you had some that kind of like floated in the middle, but that was very rare.
Yeah.
It was very staunch differences between conservatives and Democrats. And this is so funny because you would think that, okay, now that you're all just kind of blended in the middle into purple, you'd think you'd get along more, but they hate each other more now than they ever have.
I know.
And they don't care about us. They just want to screw each other over.
Yeah, they want our money. That's pretty bottom line.
They do. They want our money. They want control. They want us little sheep to do whatever they say, and then they want to run the country into the ground. They have run. They don't want to run. They have run the country into the ground.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, I love my friends, and I disagree with them. They know that this isn't going to be new information. But, there's a group that, of people that are staunch believers that they're going to reform the Republican Party, even inside the state. And I find that to be a fool's errand. I hope they prove me wrong, but you're 0 for 180 years.
Yeah.
Republican Party's been in existence for 180 years. And you're 0 for 180 years and getting them to change. And next year you'll be 0 for 181. And the year after that, you'll be 0 for 182. You're not going to cure the patient.
No.
They have terminal cancer. They're dying. They're dead. They're not even dying. They're dead, in my opinion. You're not going to save it. Plus, the system is designed. It's like saying that you're going to go. You would have a better chance of bankrupting a casino in Las Vegas with their money than you would of reforming the either of these parties. They're totally gone. They're corrupt. They're.
I would take those odds with bankrupting a casino. I'd like to do that.
Oh boy,
talk about dreaming.
That is dreaming, for sure and for certain.
No, I see, the whole thing. I still think I'm young in my mind. I still think.
I think we are.
And I look back when you were just talking about. I remember watching the news when the news was the news when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can remember most of the political leaders from when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were on TV. I know they're on TV now. I couldn't name one because.
I mean, I could, but.
Because and guess what I'm getting at? There is a style and decorum that is missing.
Well, yeah, just integrity.
Yeah, I guess that's
they have no integrity anymore at all. They'll sell us out for anything.
Yeah, I remember at least the Democrats and Republicans, they might have disagreed, but they still had somewhat of integrity left, and they wouldn't be calling the other person names.
Oh, it's so disgusting, the things that we do. Like we watch now. Yeah, it's just this depraved level of whatever. I don't even know what to call it. It's disgusting to watch. The other thing too, like and this is just something food for thought, everyone. I know our conversation, as it usually does, took a right hand turn, but one of the things I've noticed, especially with Republicans, this is interesting. It's very psychological. I have noticed that when a Republican now is running for office, a lot of times they will use a blue and yellow theme.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's funny?
Yeah.
I think what that is they're trying to scoop in the libertarian votes.
Yeah. Oh, they got a blue tie on.
To draw them in. Yeah, their campaign stuff will be blue and yellow. Their website will be blue and yellow. The advertisements will be blue and yellow themed, not red. Yeah. It'll be blue and yellow.
Yeah, that makes me kind of wonder if they're a Democrat or not.
Yeah, it's just shady.
Sheep's and wolf clothing.
Yeah, man. It's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a mess. We'll see what happens next year.
Yeah.
It's going to be something to behold.
I know.
So,
and we are going to be something to behold next.
We are. It's going to be amazing.
I know.
It'll be way more fun than politics.
I know. Listen to us, folks.
Yeah, listen to us.
Listen to us. We will be more uplifting.
There you go.
We won't overpromise anything.
No.
We will underpromise everything
and overdeliver.
That's right.
Like any good businessman ever, underpromise and overdeliver.
That's right. And we will do that if we were doing it for the Lord.
Yeah, we're doing everything for God. There's no business to it. I mean, there's an element of like when you start doing some of this stuff, you have to be mindful and you have to be managing. You got to manage God's stuff. If he's going to grant you a stuff, you got to manage it. Right?
Yeah. And I'm so excited. And I don't get excited, folks. I'm so even kill. It's,
Yeah, it'll be awesome to watch, man. It'll be fun. Just I hope everybody joins us for the journey.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes.
Well, Ben, we're at that magic time.
All right.
So stay tuned, everybody. We're going to keep working on plans, and the minute we have them set, we will announce it to everyone, and we will let you all know.
Yes.
So it'll be exciting. We have a little trailer that maybe we'll be putting up here when we know some more information about dates. The trailer is kind of already done, I think. Well, we'll kind of weigh that out, but you'll be able to sign up for tickets and stuff, hopefully on our website, and we'll announce all that when we have more concrete plans in place where you guys can come and and learn more about the Book of Enoch.
Yeah,
And boy, that's a fun one. I
Yeah.
love the Book of Enoch.
I do too.
So, all right, with that, we will bid you adieu, and we will catch you next time on The Foil. Take care.
Bye.
Atomic. Atomic.